how to diagnose the real bottlenecks within your insurance marketing. If you're new here, we talk about everything insurance marketing, lead generation, sales, funnels, back-end selling systems, helping you get higher conversion rates, generate more leads, conversations through paid ads, all the things that are associated with that as well. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. You're going to really enjoy this video. Now, how to diagnose the real bottlenecks with your insurance marketing, aka bottleneck analysis. What has prompted me to make this video? Recently had a conversation with a big insurance broker and, come to us wanting just to know a little bit more about what we do, maybe how we could help them scale through paid ads. Now, it turns out this individual, big insurance broker, stroking their own ego, saying hundreds of millions of GWP. They've got a significant amount of cash flow that is ready to be invested into new opportunities, and they're looking to take things to the next stage. To give you some context, already generating business through Google Ads, spending around about 40,000 a month or thereabouts. I don't remember the specifics of the account, buying a lot of leads, and then obviously the stuff that happens through just organic and referrals, word of mouth. And they were really looking for new ideas, something to take them to the next stage. And the craziest thing is the stories that sometimes we tell ourselves, the conversations. And I was asking some questions around about, what's working, why not just, one of the questions that I thrown their way was, okay, well, you've got Google Ads seems to be working, and based on what you're saying, a lot of the numbers make sense. Why not just spend more? Why not just double down and just grow it that way, instead of having to look for something new and have all the setup and just all the pain that comes with new ideas? And in their eyes, and the words that basically came out of their mouths was, well, we've hit a ceiling, we physically can't scale, and every single time we try and spend more towards our Google Ads, we just hit a ceiling. Our cost per acquisition goes out of whack, the cost per lead goes way past it needs to be. Now, turns out that this individual was not even making money on year one, and this is the craziest thing. And sometimes it's the belief that we tell ourselves and the understanding that we think we have of the market, and because we've done something long enough and not seen the horizon. And look, they're working with an individual that they have been working with for such a long period of time, that the conversations that this marketer is probably saying to them is like, this is just what it is. There's not really a lot we can do. We've been doing it for so long. So they've convinced themselves and they've brainwashed themselves to think that you can't even make money on paid ads year one. Effectively, I proposed that and said, well, you're not even making money, this is crazy. Their opinions, well, we know everyone in the space, we know every single person's metrics, we know every single person's revenue, and if you're telling me you can make money on Google Ads year one, you're lying to me, you're lying to yourself. And look, to be honest, we're not having confrontations on these calls, so it's just like, brush your past, cool, mate, whatever, you believe what you need to believe. But the craziest thing is the reason I'm sharing this story is because if they would have just done this thing I'm about to share with you now, if they would have just done bottleneck analysis, and they've shared me the figures, and I was instantly able to identify the exact bottleneck that was allowing them to stop growing. Now, in this instance, I think they were too far gone on the fact that they were looking for these new ideas. They were too far gone on the basis that they have already figured it out. They know everything about marketing, and they're going to just continue doing what they're doing, which is absolutely crazy. But you don't know what you don't know. So that being said, bottleneck analysis. So let me just give you a bit of an explainer and I suppose map this out for you. So right now, if you're insurance marketing, this is probably your flow, or it's something along the lines of this. You're doing an ad, you're sending that traffic to some form of landing page. That landing page is then going to some form of a callback inquiry, maybe an online quote form or some form of data collection and lead generation funnel. You might even have that actually embedded on this page if you're just maybe doing a one-page setup, but you've got a landing page, some form of quote form. You're then sending them to some form of like confirmation, thank you page, and then from there your sales guys, if it's a call center environment, you're speaking to it. Maybe there's some sort of hybrid between online quote and buy, or maybe it's just online completely, and then you're collecting the cash. Now, bottleneck analysis would suggest we know certain metrics, and we are aware of certain metrics that allow us to see right now what needs to have our focus. So what is a bottleneck analysis, and what even is a bottleneck? Well, if you think about a bottleneck, if you think about this as a bottle, okay, and then you've got the neck of the bottle, and then you've got the throughput. This basically is the flow, and as you can see, as it goes towards the bottleneck, the flow is only allowed through the throughput of the size of the bottleneck. So the larger the bottleneck, if we done another bottle and then, for example, the neck on it was big, then the throughput and the flow would be more rapid than if you have a restricted size of a bottleneck. Now, why is this important to us? Well, this is important to us as marketers because we can identify exactly where in our flow is it causing contractions that is allowing us or holding us back from scaling, taking us to the next level and really boosting this up. And in this guy's instance, and these guys that I spoke to, if they would have just conducted this themselves, they would have been able to pinpoint exactly what's causing them. Because by the way, like the 40,000 they were spending is peanuts. It was a speck of sand in the beach itself. Okay, like it was such a small amount, 40,000 a month, in comparison to where they could be with the size of the market and the people who are around them spending significantly bigger numbers. And the fact that they just didn't do this bottleneck analysis, or were just not aware enough or open enough to have someone come in and say, look, you know what? I appreciate what people are telling you. I appreciate what your beliefs, but it's just wrong. You're completely wrong. You need to rethink the way you're doing. And if you just spend attention on the thing that you're doing right now, you don't need to be looking for new ideas. So what are some things that we do want to be looking at? And what are some of the core metrics? So I'm going to outline just some of the top level metrics and some of the numbers that you want to be considering, because this is really the most important thing when it comes to paid ads. So the first thing we want to identify is our ad. Okay, is our ad actually any good? So we can look, and one of the important metrics that we want to be looking at here is click-through rate. On Google Ads, this is going to be your interaction rate. And for Facebook, we really want to be looking at this as a outbound click-through rate. Now, to be totally honest, anything between a 0.6 to a 1.5 unique click-through rate is really where you want to be. You don't want to be too far less than that, but it depends on maybe the size of the market and stuff like that, and maybe even the niche that you're going after. And a 1.5 really being towards the high end. Anything really higher than that, you know, once you're getting up near like 3-4%, like that's a good ad. Now, what does this show to us? Well, the click-through rate effectively shows us a number of things. One, it shows us how good our actual ad is. It also shows how accurate our targeting is, because effectively it shows us the percentage of people that click our ad versus see it. Now, on Google, you are going to be looking at significantly higher than that. Definitely if you're doing some form of search traffic. So you're going to be really looking in and around the range of, I would say, anywhere between like 5 to 8%. Again, it can be slightly less depending on the style of campaigns that you're running, and it can be slightly higher if you've gone really deep on those keywords, and maybe you've gone really restrictive on, you know, the phrase matches, or maybe even if you're doing a lot of exact match, it will be a lot higher. But realistically, you want to be looking at this, because if it's significantly lower, you want to be looking at things like your search terms. You want to be looking at some of the audiences that you're going after. You want to be reflecting and reviewing your headlines to make sure they're as relevant as possible. So click-through rate is an important metric, at least on the ad side, so we can understand, we can look at this and okay, is our ad any good? Do we need to maybe tweak that? The other thing we want to be looking at is our opt-in, our lead conversion rate. So effectively, this is an important metric because it allows us to understand how effective our landing pages are, the messaging on our landing pages. So let's just say, for example, you have spent an opt-in, you've got 100 clicks to the website. Out of those 100 clicks, you know, 30% of people turn into, say, a contactable lead. You've got an opt-in, a lead conversion rate of around about 30%. The opt-in rate is quite important. Really, how you're measuring that and the opt-in rate is just how many leads did you get. It's quite an easy one to actually understand. How many leads did you get through a certain date period? You really want to be looking maybe something like a 30-day, 14-day, but just for the sake of this video, let's just do like a 30 days. You want to look in the past 30 days, how many actually inquiries did we get through? That gives you the amount of opt-ins that you had, and the amount of leads and quotes that you received. Again, depends on the funnel that you're running. The other thing you want to be looking at from there is obviously your contact rate. You know, if you're running a call center, most traditional way that you're going to be doing this is understanding our contact rate. How many people of the leads that we generate did we actually speak to? So again, let's just say we generated 100 leads. Let's just say we got in contact with 50% of them, okay, or 40% of them, or 80%. Let's just say we got in contact with 80%. Okay, that means we had and contacted 80 people. One of the other metrics that you want to be looking at, the next metric you want to be looking at, is obviously your sales conversion rate. So this is just going to be how many people of the people that we speak to did we actually convert? Okay, so let's just say we spoke to 80 people and we converted 8 into new policy sales. We have a 10% sales conversion rate. One of the high level metrics and one of the top down metrics you want to be considering as well is your cost per acquisition, or you might refer to this as a cost to acquire a customer. Okay, this isn't going to be including all other costs, so CPA is probably the most accurate for your ads, but this is going to effectively be amount of sales that you received divided by the amount that you spent on the ads within that date period. So let's just say you spent 2,000 on ads in the past 30 days, and out of that you generated 8 sales. Your cost to acquire is going to be 250, again, whatever currency you're in, pounds, dollars, anything like that. So 250 would be your cost per acquisition. So this is a really good metric to understand because it's really the North Star metric. Is the main one that you can look at to understand, are we improving, getting better, are ads getting better, are the things that we're working towards actually improving? Because hypothetically, if you doubled your conversion rate from 10 to 20% just on the sales side, then your cost per acquisition would completely half without having to change anything other than sales. You don't have to do anything with your ads, you don't have to do anything with your landing pages, you don't have to do anything with your call scripts, your contact rate systems, just your better sales, and would double the sales would effectively be halving your cost per acquisition. So really important metrics that you want to be looking at. Now, obviously there are metrics inside of that, for example, between opt-in and contact, there are other metrics that you can be looking at that would go deeper into this, but this is just a free YouTube video, right? So a lot of these stuff, obviously we save for the clients to actually pay us and for the deeper analysis that we do for our clients. But these are some really important things that you still want to be looking at. And by the way, if you're interested in just knowing exactly like what is the best flow for us to actually be using, like right now, okay, these are some really high level metrics, but we don't even know the flow to use, or we are currently doing this, but I don't think we are actually fully optimizing the best we can. Below, you're going to see a YouTube video just in the description. It's the exact systems you want to be using to be able to just scale infinitely with your paid ads and how to just generate an abundance of insurance leads. Give that video a watch. You're going to really enjoy it if you've not seen it already. So that being said, why was this important? Well, okay, so in this instance, the actual client that we spoke to, so going back to the scenario and the conversation that we had, these guys were able to outline their exact metrics, and they were saying this with so much confidence that these are our metrics right now, and pretty much that's as good as you're going to get. We've done this for so long, like, you know, we're super confident with it, and we just know that we're looking for new stuff. And they shared some things over to me, and to be totally honest, like there was clear bottlenecks within the systems that they were running. But the best question, and a question you probably have right now, okay, like we understand, like this is our click-through rate, this is our opt-in rate, this is our contact rate, this is our conversion rate, but what does it need to be? Like, I don't actually know, is my opt-in rate good? Is my contact rate good? Is my conversion rate good? Like, how do you know what is a good metric? So something that I like to play a lot of the time is like double up or half. So what I mean by that is that you get this metric and you see, would it be good for us to double it? So if it's in my favor to double it, is this something realistically could be doubled? Or if it's in my favor to half it, is this realistically something that could be halved? So for example, your click-through rate, let's just say it's 1.5. The question you could ask yourself, would it be easy for me to double this to 3%? Outbound click-through rate, or let's just say it's 88%. Would this be good, and would it be easy to get me to a 16%? Well, to be totally honest, actually that is, it's 100% as possible, but it is a harder thing to do. Like to have an outbound click-through rate ad of like consistently at scale of 3%, like you do have to have some really good ads for that. So maybe you could say that, but you know, at this instance, I would say it's probably not the best use of our time. Now our opt-in rate, you know, let's just say we do 100 people to the website, you've got 30 that actually convert and get a quote at 30%. Is this something that could be improved? Is this something that could be doubled to a 60%? Well, I must admit at scale, let's just say you're spending 10, 20, 30, 100, 200,000 a month, 300,000 a month on ads to get a consistent 60% opt-in rate for like a quote callback. I must admit it's on the harder side. Like it's probably not something that you'd want to put instantly your energy towards. Okay, contact rate right now, so you're doing 100 contacts or 100 leads, and then you're contacting 80 of them, and just an 80% contact rate. Well, could that be doubled? Could you get that over 100% contact rate? Probably not. So I would say, again, contact rate is really, really good. And then conversion rate. So you're 80 submissions or 80 leads and 80 people that you've got in contact with, out of that you sign 10%. Well, to be totally honest, 8%, that is probably something that could be improved a little bit. Like, realistically, could it get closer to 20%? Yeah, I would say so. I think out of all the metrics that we're looking at right now, that is probably the one that definitely could have a higher improvement. So again, you're looking at that. In this case, bottleneck analysis would be, let's have a look at our sales process to see if there's anything further that we could do. Let's just say hypothetically that your contact rate was 40%. Okay, well, could that be improved to 80? Yeah, 100% it could. So in this instance, you would be thinking that your ads don't work, but it's actually your contact rate systems and it's the processes in between. Now, that being said, contact rate systems also could have issues to do with the opt-in rates. So you always want to try and look down. So for example, your conversion rate is going to be affected by your contact rate. Your contact rate is going to be affected by opt-ins and how effective your confirmation page best practices are. Do you have resources, value dense emails? Are you doing double dials? Are you doing the things that are appropriate to be able to actually have a high contact rate? So you do want to be looking at that. And again, your opt-ins, you do want to be looking at your ads themselves. If you're not getting opt-ins, yes, there's a problem with maybe the landing pages and stuff like that, but is there also an issue with the ads? You always want to be looking down. But in the instance of the conversation that we had with this client, their numbers, and I don't remember exactly, but was something along the lines of, they were spending something like 40,000 on their ads, and out of that were they getting about 750 submissions, form fills. Now, a lot of their other metrics were good, right? Sales conversion rate out of every lead that they were speaking to was being signed something like 30%. Again, they were spending enough to be able to warrant this as a good number. But one of the things they shared, the contact rate, the conversion rate was something like 30%. Contact rate was upwards of something like 80%. So a lot of these other metrics made sense. And one of the biggest problems that was holding them back was actually their cost per lead. So their cost per lead was coming in at something like, again, 40,000 divided by form submissions. This is how you get a cost per lead, was something like, I don't know what that is exactly, like 53, 52, 50. In this instance, we could look at that and do bottleneck analysis and understand, right, okay, so, is our spend enough to be able to actually warrant this as a sample size? Yeah, 100% it is. Are the amount of form fills that we're receiving off the back of this okay, I would say, based off that, a 43 cost per lead was certainly on the high end. So with cost per lead, this is a really interesting one. Let's just say you got a 53 cost per lead. Obviously, the game you want to play double or half, you wouldn't want to double that. You would want to say, like, could we improve our cost per lead and double it to 100? Because that's then, negative. So we would want to half that and say, okay, well, could we get closer to something like 25 to 30? Well, yeah, 100% that's possible. And within the niche that these guys are in, by the way, like, that is 100% possible to do. So looking at this, understanding, right, they're looking for these new ideas, these new processes to be able to generate new inquiries, but sales conversion rate and contact rate was insane. Spend was enough to be able to warrant the sample size, but the amount of form fills they were receiving at that cost per lead, again, could this be half? Could we double this contact rate? No. Could we double this sales conversion rate to 60? No. Can we double our spend at the same metrics? This makes sense? No, because every time we double the spend, we're running into bottlenecks. Can we double the form submissions? Well, okay, let's have a look. What's our cost per lead right now? 53. That's quite a high metric. Is that possible, do you think, based mathematically, that we could half that? Okay, we can have a look at that. Well, mathematically, our click-through rates are good, our cost per clicks are good, and the only thing that is the bottleneck analysis right now, this was one of the biggest problems, that if they would have just conducted real bottleneck analysis, they could understand right now we actually have some really good processes within here, but this part here, our landing page, our messaging, the funnels, the processes that we're driving this traffic to, actually is our biggest bottleneck. And if we just spent time, attention, being able to improve that, we'd be able to spend the same and pretty much, improve our ads significantly, probably improve them nearly by, at least with the form submissions, get that closer to something like 1,100 or 1,200 submissions off the same spend, just by improving our landing pages, our messaging, the funnels that we're driving that through. So it's really important that you are conducting bottlenecks, because we end up telling ourselves these false narratives, these false stories about why things are not working. We then spend all this time, resource and effort looking for these new ideas and these new processes when the things that we have are actually working. The things right in front of us are clearly working, but because we have a restricted flow in our bottleneck, it's causing a lot of the other metrics to fall short. So it's really important that you're doing real bottleneck analysis to understand where in our sales process, our funnel and our journeys is falling short? What can we do to improve it? And are we doing everything in our knowledge and understanding to be able to improve these things? Again, if you're wanting to know the exact funnel that you should be using, the right processes to be able to generate an abundance of insurance leads, policy sales, telephone calls, then watch that video below. I hope you found this extremely valuable. Go ahead, get some data about your current funnel right now, run this through, identify your bottlenecks. This can be within your insurance marketing, this can be done through sales processes, and so much more. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. You can find my LinkedIn descriptions. Go ahead, watch that video below. If you found this video valuable, give it a like, subscribe, consider subscribing. I'm going to be posting so much more good information like this. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.